Hi, and welcome to this video where I talk about how to approach figure drawing exercises. Hi, my name is Escobar. I'm a storyboard artist on the Simpsons television show. I've been working on the show for over 25 years now, and I'm here to empower you. So, as you can tell by my voice, I've kind of caught a cold. It's kind of messing me up a little bit, so I thought that I would actually share an exercise that I gave someone who I was coaching. You don't get to know who it is or whatever, but it is an exercise that I gave him to do, and then we went over it, and then after that person turned in the exercise, I went and gave him feedback. But I'd like to share what I told him and how to approach this particular exercise, because it has a lot of good information about what to think about when you're doing a figure drawing. How to simplify, what you're thinking about when you're working on a figure. A lot of really good information here. So it's a little choppy because I cut out some stuff. So because this was part of a much longer video. This is only a small chunk of the video. I think the video that I sent him was like almost 2 hours long. I was talking about a lot of things, but this is just an example of the type of exercise that I gave him to do, and how to approach it and what to think and all this other stuff. So hopefully this is going to be helpful, and it's going to save my voice. Okay, so I'm going to stop talking, and here's the video.
So what we're going to do here is when we have a figure like this, what we're trying to do is simplify the figure when it's a little bit different than just a gesture drawing. A gesture drawing often, I mean, I did a video where I talk about the difference between a gesture drawing and a lay-in. So I'll link to that, or I'll send you a link to it. So what we're doing is we're going to do a lay-in, but we're thinking about it like a gesture. A gesture is all about pushing and energy. A lay-in is a little bit more about pushing, and it's about pushing and energy also, but we're also thinking about simplification and design a little bit more when we're doing a lay-in. So, for example, when we're looking at this figure, we're just kind of seeing, we're making a note of this negative space here, this negative space here, and almost the exterior design and how to simplify these components, these exterior designs. So, for example, we've got this, and then this shoulder would just be very simple, and then we're looking at this. So okay, there's going to be a space there, a negative space there, and then this it's as if it's one big shape, because we're thinking about it in the design sense. Go all the way down to the floor. This shape here, what does it do? What's this shape what's this doing? So we're thinking about negative spaces. We're thinking about shapes here. Now we're kind of refining the negative space. It's got a gun. Okay, so this is essentially as simple as we can get it. This is a little bit. So now I'm taking a look at this and realizing that I'm off. So we want something like that. Usually you don't want to erase, but I'm just trying to be clear here. So there we go. And then once we've got the gist of this, and it's a little stiff, unfortunately, but now is the time to go to color pencil, And so what we're looking for is how can we define this? How can we simplify the shadow shapes? So I'm looking at this, and then I'm coming across to the face here, and there's like a triangle here. Going down to the neck. There's some light here, so I just leave a little space there. This is that coming down here. This is all dark. I don't have to worry about it yet. I'm just looking at these shapes here. Exterior here. Maybe this is happening here. I'm just simplifying it without making all this lumpy bumpy stuff. I'll just simplify it as much as possible. And then so this is what we've got here. Go down to the arm here. See, we're losing all these edges. See, we're just thinking about this as, see, there's a C curve, and then boom, another C curve here, and then there's a shape, a light shape here. So let's just do that. Boom, boom, boom. That's it. Cut that off here. There's a little white gap of light right there where the gun is. Kind of quickly just make a gun corner there, and then there's the cast shadow. Just increase the size of the so that's it. That's what we're looking to do is, well, maybe not that. Let's not lose that edge, and just so that we could have a more defined body here. So do you see what I just did here is all I did was simplify the light and dark shape, and then you could even add a shape here to fill out the head a bit more. And go back to the pencil. I mean, at this point, that's when you can start refining and defining and all this other stuff, but you really don't need to do that at this point anymore. I mean, this is all you needed to do, was come up with a good block in for the shadow shapes. So this is it. This is all we need. We're squinting so that we're losing all the detail, and all we're left with is as much black and white shapes as we can get. Let's try it with the next one. So we've got the head here. We've got this kind of corner happening. We want this gesture coming down here, just that long line there. Then we're seeing that there's a corner right there, and then it goes straight. Let's draw through all the way down. But then we also want to be aware of this like triangle that of negative space that is being created by the arm. We also are paying attention to this shape that is being created like this. There's like a C curve, and it's an S curve, and then there's a corner. So we have to be aware of that. It's an S curve. And then there's that corner. There's a C curve here. Goes down. I'm running out of space here. This is not okay. We want the whole body. This is why we wanted. It's better to do this on a longer page. What's going on? Why doesn't it? Cancel. I'm already shrink something here. Okay, and then we're looking at this. There's a negative space right here. This leg goes all the way down here. This foot doesn't. So notice it's just a graphic shape here. It's just a graphic representation here. Like this is just really simple, almost a cartoon. I just had made an adjustment here because I noticed that there was. So we're thinking about this as a design, as a silhouette almost, but we're also thinking about what's going on in here interiorly. This and this. We're thinking about these. The arms should not do this. It should never do this. It should go in the same direction. If this is a C curve, then the next one's a C curve. If this is a C curve this way, then the other one is going to go in the same direction. So we don't want to do this, because then that's horrible. And the same thing with the body. If this is going this way, then let's just keep going in that direction. Even though it is kind of doing that, we don't want to do that when we're laying it in, because later on, when we're putting all these details, eventually when we're doing that sort of thing, what we're gonna want to do is we're gonna add, for example, in the torso, we're gonna add the bumps in a unique designed way. And here's like the arm, we want to stagger the muscles. and then 'cause I should be looking at my reference here, but the point is that the rhythms go 1, 2, 3. They overlap instead of doing Michelin Man, Snowman. We're looking to design a body, not be mindless about it. Okay, now that we've got this lay-in, and notice it's extremely simple, that's when we, again, let's go back to the flat pencils that we've got, and now we're going to start designing. We're going to start trying, we're going to squint, and we're going to see, okay, how does this, it's a bit too thick, it's just a little thinner. What we don't want is too thick or too thin a colored pencil here, because it's kind of like we're using the side of a pencil and we're just making planes. We're looking for the planes of the head, the planes of the body. So we don't, it's like having a flat brush. So we don't want it pointy, we don't want it precise. I'm looking at this shape here. We've got this round shape here, the C curve, and let's make that kind of straight and something like that, like straight C curve, and come up around like that. Here's a C curve here. Let's make that straight. This comes down here. This is a C curve and a straight. Goes in. C curve, straight. C curve, straight. Straight. C curve, straight. Increase the size of the brush. Just so that we can fill these in quick. Reduce it a little bit so that I can get a little bit more of a control here of this exterior shape here. Now we're not being absolutely precise. What we're doing is slowly is designing this, and then there's a little bit of a knee in there. Oh, and I forgot there's that. And then we can define the front of the face here. And the front of the body. Using the background. Because when you're painting, what you're actually doing is designing shapes. You're not drawing. You're looking for these patterns of light and dark, and patterns of color. So ideally what you want is to find reference that has the a good lighting scheme, a key, a clear key light that lights things up and makes the rest dark. Um, this is a good one too. I'll probably do that one. This one is a little less because see how it's not as the ambient light is kind of hitting and it's lightening it up in the shadows a bit. So try to find reference that isn't lit like this, like especially like this guy where there's no shadows. There's no shadow distinctions. I mean, with this one, you can probably grab it and like reduce the color on it. This one's good. This one's kind of got a lot of conflicting light in here, but you want to make it easy on yourself at first. So you want to find reference that's going to make it easy on you. Let's try this one here. It's a crazy foreshortened pose. Okay, so got this. Got this. This is a straight. See, because I'm looking at this and it's just like straight down. I'm looking at these shapes here, this exterior shape, and kind of designing as simply as I can. What's this shape doing? Let's simplify it and make it straight here. Here's the knee. Here's a Bruce Timm leg. Crotch. This knee here and the leg goes here. Boom. Okay. Now that we've got that, this time I'm not gonna draw directly on that layer. I'm going to leave it like that so you could at least see how simple my lay-in is. I didn't cover it up. And now I was just drawing this top of the hair here just to give me a guide, and here's that. Then there's the brow line. The nose, the mouth shape is very complicated. I'll just simplify it for now. So I just made a muzzle. The face of the mouth is is kind of like a ball. So really quickly, I just made that decision. Here's the cast shadow of the head, the pecs. Goes across a little bit. We've got a shadow shape here. We've got a shadow shape here. Squint and then you'll see it. This shadow shape is doing this. I'm looking at the exterior shape here. This very minor, but here we've got a shadow Very minor here, but this is a box, so let's make it a box. Here we could actually think of this as a box too. And then a kind of like a ball. But it's going the other way, so I kind of want to do this. This is, I think, it may be too long, but it could be adjusted later. Here's the cast shadow here. Then goes to the knee. And the knee is very complicated. It's got all these lumps and stuff. Let's simplify it and just do that. It's down to that. Boom, boom. That's it. And then the key is simplification. What can I do? Can I make it into a C curve? Is it a straight? Is it a C curve? And I was saying that before: C curve, straight, C curve, straight, straight, C curve, and all that other stuff. Here's this shadow shape here. This is okay. So that's it. Like that's essentially it. Like I guess I should just kind of add that turn here, and then you just darken it in. All right, so, and then you just darken this in here. And that's it. You're pretty much done. The idea here is not to have the most perfect drawing of figure drawing. What you're basically doing is you're just trying to find the shapes that make this figure. Because look, if you go and you can, now that what I've just done is a bit all the big shapes, but later on you can start breaking it down even into smaller shapes, and then you can start really refining and defining these things on the figure. But at first, what you just kind of want is the gist of the shadow shapes. And the more you do these, the more you're going to notice recurring shadow shapes, recurring themes in specific parts of the body, and that means that what will happen is that when that occurs, when you're gonna notice that the recurring themes, when you start doing imaginative drawings, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I remember the actual shape that tends to do in the pecs or in the stomach or in the face. It looks like this usually, and then you're gonna do it, and because it from having observed it yourself, it'll be easier to break down, especially since what we're doing right here is very, very simple, very graphic. it works really well with cartoons once you've got this whole graphic thing down. But eventually, we can start doing a little bit with a little bit more time. I've been taking a lot of time to do this. The proportions are a little off. It's okay for now for the proportions to be off. You're not trying to be perfect. It's a bit of a gesture drawing. Try not to spend more than, say, 5 minutes on any of these. It should be fairly quick. You should be wanting to, have a timer on yourself. If you don't get through the whole thing, that's okay. Move on to the next thing. The idea is mileage. What you want is repetition. Do the same thing over and over and over as often as possible. So that it's kind of like the faces. The more you do, the more you can make adjustments on yourself and discover things that you could pivot and learn faster by doing more as much as much as you can than by only doing one for a very long time. The more you do, the better you're going to get faster than by just doing one perfect, because you want to mess up and pivot as much as possible. Like, oh, this is not working, I'm going to try this next time, and you learn faster that way than doing one perfect one every single. Like, oh, you erase, oh no, this is not working, oh, this is not working, and then you're erasing and just keep going. Oh, I ran out of time already, let's move on, let's do the next one, and then little by little you're going to get faster and faster. I tend to be able to do these really fast on paper, because usually I don't have to switch. I just do it like really quick with my. It's like when I hold the pencil like this, kind of like the rough pencil, and when I do this, it's like the colored pencil, where I could just really quickly rough in the charcoal, the shadows. And the reason why my previous drawings looked kind of like a charcoal pencil is because I made a special pen on the program that worked exactly like a charcoal pencil does. The problem is that it's extremely unwieldy and difficult to control, and if you've never ever used one, you wouldn't know how to even use it. Like it would really bother you. But ideally, it's kind of like when holding the pencil like this would give you a really thin, sharp line, and then having the pencil like sideways would give you like a thicker line, and it's. But that's kind of like what I ended up doing with when I made my own brush, so I could very quickly do exactly the same thing here. Make a brush so that it needs to, the way that it works best is if your tool works like an actual brush, where you're getting thin lines, and then very quickly you can make thick lines. Yeah, so that's what I would say here, and part of the problem with doing it the way that I'm doing here is that we get a lot of these kind of edges, but we get a lot of rough edges, but it's really hard to, without switching to or constantly reducing the pencil to get hard edges, because you would need some hard edges here. Like this is a hard edge because of the cast shadow. This is really quick. So right now everything is kind of like a firm edge, but really this needs to be a hard edge here in the bottom. So this is the compromise. Like this is totally a hard edge. It shouldn't be a firm edge. It should be a hard edge there. But we're limited right now with the digital tool. I'll see about coming up with a good brush that may allow us to do this a little bit better and faster and give us the edges we want. But for now, using the Clip Studio Paint rough pencil and color pencil back and forth is the best way to go about doing it. Okay, so that's what I would say about this exercise, and so I just wanted to show you. Yeah, really simple, very graphic. You're looking to squint, squint and look for, and I shrunk this down so you can't see any details. You're just looking for this light shadow, this light pattern, and this shadow pattern and how it would work. Okay? And I guess I'll talk to you next time. All right, bye.